residence life. I'm okay. Yes, record. So I am starting my 4th academic year. Definitely have had some adventures being in charge through the pandemic. So I'm very excited to see a fairly normal fall, right? I mean, we'll see what this Delta variant has in store for us. But in terms of what we are expecting in the residence halls, we're looking really full on campus. We've got a lot of wonderful, programs ready. The RAs are almost coming back, so I'll talk about who they are in just a little bit. But we're excited. We're excited to get you back into a little bit more of a normal schooling experience, because I know things have been weird since your junior year. So we're excited to have you. Oops. There we go. So yes, we are excited. Welcome. I sent an email earlier today to all of our assigned students. So if you have a housing assignment, you should have gotten an email from me in your university email containing a snapshot of what you see on the screen right now. So in that email, it talks about, hey, you have an assigned room, go into My Housing and check out what your building number and your room number is. If you have roommates, roommate or roommates, their information will be listed in there as well. So all of that information is on My Housing, available through the portal. And then this other attachment inside that email is really, really helpful. So this is the front page of a 4-page document. Just go ahead and look through all of it. Share this with people who are going to be helping you move in, if you have any helpers, just so everybody has kind of the plan of how this works. We're going to go into detail, but you have all this information on your fingertips. This will also be posted on the website later this week, so you can reference this information at any time. Okay, so when do I move in? So if you're a new first year or a transfer student, Wednesday, August 25th from 9 to 11 a.m. is your move-in time. So the good news, I mean, I would like everybody to arrive on move-in day, but we do have quite a few people arriving early with athletics. So this isn't like the crush of people that some you might be familiar with from other move-in experiences at other places. It's pretty easy. So Niebuhr Hall is pretty much the hall that has the most people moving in on this day. But even that, it's still not, it's not a crush of people or a line, for 3 hours. It moves pretty quickly. So there will be helpers. So we do have some of our athletes come to each of the halls and help people get things out of their cars and then move things up into their residence halls. But that only happens on August 25th from 9 to 11. So if you're like, oh, maybe I'll come early, why don't you just come during move-in time? So 9 to 11 is a really great time to come for first year students and transfer students. And then new student orientation, check-in begins at 11, but that's not when the program begins. So you do have a little bit of time to transition. There's a lunch under the tent that you don't necessarily have to like leave your room at 11 o'clock and check in. There's time before the orientation program officially starts. And then if you're a returning student, everyone else is coming in on Saturday, the 28th at 1 p.m. So, and people can arrive anytime after that. So I don't think any of you are returning. All right, so preparing for move-in. So read the newsletter. So you saw the front page, you've got it in your university email. Check it out. It's a little link that's contained inside the email. It says, kind of down at the bottom, preparing for move-in. So you have that information. Read it cover to cover, and then getting your COVID-19 vaccination and then uploading your information. So those are really important things. So it's August 4th. You got 6 more days to do that if you haven't already, and I mean, I've loaded it in here. You also have this in the newsletter. You can go to the website to upload your vaccination proof right there. And then if you have any other questions about the vaccination requirement, you can visit our FAQ page. So I'm not going to go into too much detail because it really all is in that FAQ page for how that's going to work for vaccinations. So next, as you're preparing, thinking about if you have a roommate, do each of you need to bring everything that you own to campus? The answer is no. So coordinate with your roommate, contact them to discuss a plan. Some things that people commonly share might be a refrigerator, or if one of you's rolling in with a TV, that's fine. Honestly, you don't necessarily need to bring a TV anymore. We do have streaming internet, so your TV would need to be one of those smart TVs to we don't have cable, but now your laptop is basically a TV too. So your computer can turn in to a TV TV. So if you don't want to haul a big TV out to campus, that's fine. But that's just some of the things that you can start talking about your roommate with. And if you're really excited, you can coordinate colors and patterns, but that's a little extra. So, but you have fun. As you're coming to campus, thinking about packing things in maybe reusable containers, the hope is that you're going to be joining us for a few move in and move out. So those like Tupperware tote things might be handy, but make sure that you're labeling everything. So your name and your room number, especially if you're moving in on that on actual move-in day when other people will be helping you carry things up. It's really helpful to have your name and room number on all of your possessions. The next piece, kind of pro tip, is maybe don't bring the futon on move-in day. So, see your room, plan out how it's going to look with your roommate, and then maybe talk about bringing in some larger furniture. Every room every residence hall room has a dresser, a desk, a hutch and a bookcase, and an extra long twin bed. So the configurations are kind of endless with how you can set up your furniture, which is pretty cool. We have bed pins to help, if you want to bunk it, if you want to loft it. You don't need to bring your own lofts. All of our furniture is loftable. Your resident advisors can help you kind of figure out how that could all work. They'll be wandering around during move-in. But it makes me sad when people come in with like these giant plastic drawer things. And I'm like, I don't think you're going to need that. We do have enough storage because beyond the furniture, every room also has its own, each person has their own closet. So there is a lot of places to put things. You might not need to bring anything extra. So just thinking about that. And then, of course, large cargo vans and U-Hauls are strongly discouraged. If you can think about, if you're filling that to the max, your room isn't that big and you're sharing it with another person. So just being wise about the things that you're bringing to campus as you begin to pack. So that is preparing for move-in. So now it's time. You're arriving on campus for move-in. There is a map on the last page of that newsletter. I'll get to it in just a little bit. So you can indicate, wherever that is on the map, you can come into campus that way. Staff and volunteers will guide you to the, the staff and volunteers will guide you to a temporary unloading place. So just kind of watch what people are doing. We do ask that everybody's wearing a mask. So your move-in helpers should all be wearing a mask no matter kind of where we're at in how many days, in 20 days. It's been an adventure trying to keep up with the CDC changes, but we're just going to have everybody wear masks just to be safe for that move-in day because there's so many different people on campus. So once you get your items, you were right in front of the hall, you get them out of your car, and then we want the vehicle to be moved into a permanent parking spot. So Alexander parking lot is under a lot of renovation right now, but it should be perfect by the time we hit move-in. So people can go move their cars over there and then come back to campus. We do ask that a person is staying with the car as it's being unloaded, just to make sure that everything's safe with your possessions. So what will happen once that is all going on? So you've gone to your assigned residence hall. So if I live in Schick, I have driven the car to Schick, we've unloaded, and I'm going in to receive my keys. So the hall staff there will have the keys for you. You show your J-Pass. It would be helpful if you have your like room number maybe handy, and then they'll double check that you're going to the right spot. So that's how it will look on the 25th. So you'll go directly to your building. If for some reason you've been approved to arrive early, which is still available, early arrival is something you can still do. You just have to apply for it. It's an application on My Housing that will close on the 9th. So if you're planning to come before your scheduled move-in time, you need to let us know. So if you're coming outside of that time, you'll get further instruction, but you would pick up your keys at public safety. But that's only for people arriving early. And then, something about the early arrival. If you do want to come a day early, it's $25 to come a day early. So we really do hope that you come on your scheduled move-in day. Then let's see. So after that, everybody else will be moving things into your room. And then of course, boxes shouldn't just be left out in the hallway, break them down, put them in the dumpsters. There's one close to every residence hall, which is great. So that is our on campus. Okay. So what should I bring to college? given that we just aren't sure, right? We're more sure, I think, than last year about what's happening, but I would recommend not bringing everything that you own. I really recommend that anytime, pandemic or not, but just try not to bring everything that you own to campus. So items to bring: multiple cloth masks, some hand sanitizer. We obviously have those here, but just in case, you can bring some carpet or rug. A lot of students like to decorate. A coffee pot, computer, laptop, tablet is like essential. So definitely bring one of those technology items. Your bed is an extra long twin bed. So you don't just get a twin sheet. It's not going to be long enough. Make sure you get the extra long twin. And then not all of our residence halls are air conditioned, so bringing a box fan makes sense. You can bring the fans that kind of like have like an intake and output that you can put in a window, just as long as there's no compressor, because air conditioners are not allowed. You can bring a hot pot or an electric tea kettle. You just can't have any exposed element. That's a fire hazard. Anything from home, pictures, a throw pillow, just your personal touch. You can do lamps, outlets, strips. You've got a refrigerator that you can bring. That's fine. You just have to make sure it's not drawing a ton of power, because some of our, I would say our halls are classic. So they just need a little bit more, we have to be a little bit more gentle with them with our electricity usage. You can bring a smart TV, like I said, or you can just use your laptop to stream, and a trash can and maybe an umbrella. So if you want a more comprehensive list, you can go to our website in the moving in section, and we'll give you a little bit longer list for those things.
And Sarah, we have a quick question.
Oh, yes.
So we have a student who asked, does the $25 fee go to athletes who would be moving in on the 11th as well, or do they not have a fee?
Great question. Yeah. So if your approved move-in date is the 11th, so you don't need to worry about any extra charge. If you were, let's say you were scheduled to come in on the 18th with the soccer team, but you're like, oh, but I want to get there on the 16th. Okay. So the 2 days that you're here before the date that we approved you to come, those are the dates. So if you're arriving on the 11th for football, you're totally fine. Don't worry about it. Great question. Okay, so some items to leave. So definitely there's some things that we don't want you to bring it all to campus. So like I said, air conditioner units, no go. It's not good. Anything with like a amplified instrument, you can bring your electric guitar, just don't plug it in. Any items with an exposed heating element, candles, even if they're unlit, we don't want them in the residence halls. Ceiling fans. So you can see that we've gotten some crazy stuff over the years. I like water beds. That people are like, what's a water bed? No drones, no hoverboards. No grills, as fun as that would be, even if it's outdoor, no grilling. No weapons. So, keep that at home. The homemade lofts, you don't need to do, because all of our furniture is loftable. So don't worry about building a loft and bringing it. We have all of that under control for you. No incense. The microwaves is something that microwaves and toaster ovens sometimes surprise people. So again, microwaves are only allowed in the houses and the apartments. And they're not allowed in the residence halls. But the good news is that every residence hall has a kitchen, either one kitchen or multiple kitchens on each floor that does have a microwave. So, or even a stovetop. Some of them have more complex kitchenettes. But we ask that you not bring your own personal microwave. And pets need to stay home as well. So we do allow some fish in like 2-gallon tanks, but beyond that, pets should stay home. We do have an emotional support animal policy. So if you have a pet that you'd really like to bring as an emotional resource, you can work with our access and disability coordinator, Dr. Linda Harrell, to see if that would be approved. So the approval has to come first, and then the animal can come join us on campus, not the other way around. All right, renters insurance, just an aside, we encourage that everybody insures their personal property, because the university does not assume any responsibility for loss due to theft or damage or any cause. So in many cases, your property is probably covered under maybe a family, like a family policy or a homeowner's policy. So check with your, with your parents or guardians about if that's possible, if they just need to add in your like residential address to make sure your stuff is covered. And then another source for insurance is a company called GradGuard, which we partnered with. So you might have seen something about that when you went through the housing application, because it's like embedded right in. But they're independent from us, but it's definitely, it just helps make insuring your things really easy. Renter's insurance is not very expensive, and if there is something catastrophic that happens, you want your clothing and your bedding and your electronics to be covered, because that's not something that the university will replace if there is damage in the building. So just always putting that out there. This is also included in the newsletter to reference. And then finally, if you're curious about the size of your room, we have that information available. So you go into My Housing, and then on the side, over on the right-hand side, there's a section called Helpful Links, and you can click on the room dimensions and find your exact room and see exactly what your dimensions are, if that is important to you. Okay, and then here's the map that I referenced earlier in the presentation. Again, this is part of the newsletter, but you can see that most of our students, right, Dinkmeyer, Schick, Stanger West will be entering here, and then the other groups for Curitan and Niebuhr would be coming up over where Circle Hall is. And then any other, if people are living in apartments or houses, you would also be checking in at Curitan, which your newsletter tells you about. So that's all the logistics for move-in. Once you get here, there's a lot of people who are going to be welcoming you to the halls and making sure that you are having a good, a safe, a connected, just a great experience with us on campus. So residential support staff include the RAs, or the resident advisors, the head residents, and then the professional staff, which is me. So RAs are students who we hire to live on the floor. So maybe like a long floor might have 2 RAs on it, but that person is kind of like your assigned helpful person. So if you have questions, they're a great resource to start with. That they're at least a sophomore, if not older. Lots of students like to be RAs, so they are sometimes older students, but they're wealth of resource and knowledge, and they are hired specifically to help you transition with whatever you need. The RAs are also there to build community, so they will be putting on events and programs for you throughout the course of the year. They'll do something called a roommate agreement, where you and your roommate will sit down, you'll talk through the common things that that roommates maybe fight about. So you just want to make sure that you've got, what are we doing about guests? What are we doing about the lamp turning on? Am I okay if you eat my Cheetos, right? That's the kind of stuff that they'll walk through with you with that roommate agreement. The resident advisors will also meet one-on-one with each of you in the fall, just to get to know you and like have set aside specific time just with you. So they also do duty rounds. So the RAs are, if there's something that happens, maybe an emergency in the middle of the night, there's a phone number that you can call to reach them, or you can just go to their room and then they can help. So the RAs are like on the ground staff people for residence life, which is great. The next layer above them is the head residents. So they supervise the RAs. They also live in the buildings with everyone, either in an apartment or in another room. And the head resident is really there to kind of oversee everything. These are like very senior level RAs. So they've already been RAs before, and now they're taking a greater leadership role within the hall to lead it. And then, they work directly with me and my colleague, Kevin, who supervises everyone. So Kevin and I actually also live on campus. So I live in West Hall and Kevin lives in Curitan. So we are very connected in with the campus community. We both love living here. It's quite a nice place to be a community member. So with that, what questions do you have?